Initially, when I first started my podcast, I always felt like if I had a problem with it or there's a couple I didn't want to air, how do you share that information after the fact? And I started thinking if I just tell them up front, if I just tell them before we even get started. So, I know a lot of people book 2 calls. I book 1. I got 90 minutes and you're going to be there for 30 minutes of checklist and then whatever we record. But this way I put everybody on the same page walking in. And one of the things that I would get so frustrated is like, I told you about my listener or my avatar and you missed it. So I started really delving into that a lot. Like that is the most of my podcast and of my check sheet. And what I found in the end is I started getting better results. There was less that I was frustrated over, less that because people got what I was expecting and followed through. Not all of them, because we all have our own way, but for the most part, I get better results. So I didn't know if you would want me just to go down through my checklist and tell people what I have on it or your listener, or if you would like to talk about why I put each thing on.
Well, let's start by going through the checklist and then I'll probably ask why, especially when I think that I don't understand or if I think that it's going to help the listener.
The first thing on my checklist is how to pronounce somebody's name. And the reason I do, and I cheat, I only introduce first names and I tell them it's because I want it to feel friendly and I don't call my best friend, Dr. Henry George or whatever. I just call him George. I just call him whatever it is.
We're going to redo this episode. Here we go. This is Jane. Oops, I already made a cardinal sin.
No, it's not it's the feel for my podcast. Other people want the prestige and the well-known people that impress. But I just want friends that want to sit down and really just chat. That's what I start out with. And I say, I'm not going to read your bio. We're best friends. So it's in the show notes. And that's what the listener will hear. So those are the first 2. And then I jump into my avatar and I tell them their age, their marital status, and then, their income levels and the things that, it's like, they make enough money. I don't have to worry about what they're spending their money on. I'm not having to teach them financial stability. This is somebody who doesn't identify with their trauma. So many people want to talk about trauma. They have it. They don't identify it with it. Some people want to talk about working parent. They don't identify as a working parent. They identify as a professional. So we talk to them as if they're at the workplace, not at home. And so these are just the way I've tried to make sure the listener is or the guest is understanding where I'm trying to go. And so then we start talking about the topic. And so I tell everybody, my avatar is Barbara. We're not going to call her Barbara on the show, but how are we going to frame this topic that we're talking about for Barbara? So, Adam, your podcast avatar is a podcaster or someone just getting into it. So how do I frame this topic for a podcaster, not the I want to be nice to myself over here one? So we have a different tone, right? And so that's the next thing we go through is what is our topic and how are we going to present it to this one person? And the way I describe why this one person is really important is it sets the tone for the whole show. And I liken it to if I was to turn on my favorite radio station that played easy listening and all of a sudden I got rock and roll. I like rock and roll. I like the heavy stuff, but I was trying to calm down. So I probably wouldn't choose that station again in a calm down mode. So my goal is every time you tune into the Laura Jane Layton Show, you are getting the same consistent feel. And so that's the reason for that.
Okay. So you've got Barbara and you share with your listener what about Barbara? Do you mind sharing those details with me now as if we were in a pre-interview?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I say, our listener, we have one for this. We don't have 100,000 like our download show. We have one listener, and it's important to speak to her. And Barbara is in her late 40s. She is a working corporate woman who prides herself on being really good at her job. She has 3 teenage kids, so she's pulled between college visits and college prep and driver's ed and all of the events and proms and dances that our beautiful, wonderful teenage kids get to go through. She's married. She's on her second marriage. Her husband works full time, but that's the only thing he does. He comes home, he rests, he relaxes, and it's up to Barbara to take care of the household. She is the primary breadwinner, so if she was to lose her job, their whole lifestyle would change. So this is where we need to help Barbara get herself back on her task list. We need to figure out how Barbara can fill her own cup before she's filling everybody else's. So next time her mom calls and goes, I can't reach the light switch, I need my light bulb switched out, Barbara doesn't go, I guess I'm not going to go to dinner with friends tonight because now I got to go see my mom. It's like, I'll swing by on my way to friends. I'll tell them I'm late. How can she keep herself in the mix of what she's doing things for? And so we've gone through all that, her income, her importance, why she feels driven to stay at work, all these reasons why we want to help Barbara. That's what I tell them.